Sarah here, and I remember a time not long ago when my Sundays were dictated by scriptures, my beliefs by dogma, and my spiritual world felt incredibly small. Every prayer was structured, every doubt suppressed. Then something shifted. For Izzy, it was the quiet pull towards her ancestors. For me, it was the undeniable call of intuition, guiding me away from the familiar and into the unknown. We both ended up in places we never expected, trading hymns for hexes and sermons for spiritual work.
Welcome to Just Another Statistic, hosted by Sarah and Izzy. This is where we lay bare our deconstruction from Christianity and our vibrant, sometimes challenging transition into witchcraft and personal spirituality. We're here to share the blueprint of our spiritual rebuilding, one honest conversation at a time. Whether you're someone who diligently attended church for decades or you've always felt a magnetic pull towards something other, this podcast is for you. We'll explore the hows and whys of our journey, discussing everything from finding new community to understanding ancient practices and navigating family dynamics. Our goal is to connect through our stories, acknowledging that while our paths are unique, the quest for authentic spirituality is a universal human experience. Join us as we explore the rich tapestries of spirituality beyond the statistics.
Before we begin, we want to share a brief but important note. To protect the privacy and identities of everyone involved, we will not be using the real names of people or churches in our stories. We also want to acknowledge that every story has at least two sides, and what you're about to hear is simply our story, sharing our experiences from our unique perspective. We've dedicated a lot of time to healing from these experiences and will continue this journey. And we sincerely wish nothing but love and light for all the individuals whose paths have intersected with ours.
Sweet. So we ended part one with I had agreed to go on a date with the White Knight. He was demanding my schedule. Sunday morning, he wouldn't leave me alone. And then that's kind of where we left off. So Sunday, I didn't get my schedule. I don't think I got my schedule until late that night. And I was like, I had already told him like Wednesday was fine. I was pretty sure that would have been fine. I just wasn't like 100% on it. So we kind of had a confirmation. If he had just chilled out,
it would have been fine.
It would have been fine.
I just remember that Sunday, like, we had a pretty decent day after church. Mm-hmm. We were chilling, we were vibing, we were like on a pretty decent like level of emotional, like we were stable.
Yeah.
And you had a friend that it was their last night at work.
Yeah.
At their job. And so we were going to go get a beer.
Yeah.
And I remember like right before we left for that, you got another message from the White Knight.
Uh-huh.
And I looked at you and I was like, put your phone down.
Yeah.
Put it down. We're not talking to him. He already knows. You will get your schedule later. And when you have your schedule, you can confirm everything. We're not killing our buzz.
Yeah.
Put it down. You're ignoring him for the night. So that was my decision. I was like, no. I kind of got little mama bear there. And I was like, put your phone down.
Yeah. So that had happened. We had a good day. It was like Monday morning. And I thought it was earlier, but from the notes that I have, it was like 9 a.m. Monday morning. I was at work. My bosses had literally just walked out the door. I was feeding the little boy that I was nannying breakfast. It was like first thing in the morning. And my phone starts going off, and it's all of these screenshots from my sister. And the white knight had like texted her and was like, she's not responding to me. Where is she? I don't understand. Da 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 da. I can't tell you exactly what he was saying, but I knew like he was texting her trying to find me. That's what I remember. So I don't know. Maybe he went to the apartment when we were out that night and we weren't there. I don't know. But all I remember is I was like, that's really weird that he's texting my sister trying to find me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to her, I said, please don't respond. Tell him if he has a problem, he can text me. I'll deal with it later. I can't remember if he did text me later or not, but I just remember I was annoyed. I was so mad. And I tend to say things I don't want to say that I don't mean, because I probably do mean most of it. I get really mean though. I when I am upset, when I am stressed out, I am a mean human being. Um, and it is not my best trait, and it's something that I'm working on, but I get nasty, and I know that I'm like, I need to deal with these emotions, and then I can go talk to you with a level head. Um, so I don't think I responded to him that day either, because I was just so annoyed. And I was like, I'm gonna say something really fucking mean if I text him right now. So I didn't. Tuesday morning comes around, I'm again at work, and it's like even earlier. Because I remember it was like 7 a.m. Screenshots from my brother-in-law. And the message to my brother-in-law is, can we have a chat later? I'm suffering mentally from what your sister-in-law is doing to me. And for me, with the threat before, with his mom calling us and being like, he's gonna go do something to himself, he's gonna go, you know, himself. That's immediately what my mind went to, was like, he is threatening to self-harm because I'm not responding to him. And I think he knew that the messages were getting sent to me, because it was just like manipulation to me through another person. Because my brother-in-law didn't care. That's not the person you go to for advice at all. No offense, but not the person you go to for advice. And I said, please don't say anything to him. I will deal with this. Have him talk to me. I do not think my brother-in-law respected that. I'm pretty sure that they had a conversation. I'm trying to figure out how much of this I want to say. I'm going to say it, and then if I decide later to cut it out, I'll cut it out.
The wonders of editing.
Yeah. My brother-in-law came on to me sexually all of the time in front of my sister. He made comments about my body constantly. I would be like dating somebody or seeing somebody, and he'd be like, you should invite your date to church. And I would be like, I'm not there yet. And he'd be like, why? You afraid he's going to finger you in the pews? Like, that's how this man spoke to me. He would like hold things up and compare my breasts to things, like completely unwarranted, all of the time, to the point like where me and my sister would get into fights, and I'd be like, why are you okay with your husband talking to me like that? It took many, many years for me to get him to stop talking to me that way. To the point where like my most recent ex, he didn't like my brother-in-law. He did not feel that I was safe around him with the way he spoke to me in front of other people. I believe that the White Knight went to him because he knew he was going to confirm whatever he wanted. Because my brother-in-law viewed me as a sexual being just for being female. He knew that he was going to get that validation from him that I had done something to get him to be sexually attracted to me. I also want to make the point that the White Knight, I believe, is 6 years older than me. I was 22 or 23 at that time, which would have made him 27 or 28. Is my math correct on that? He had never been on more than a first date with a girl. He had, and like, I think he had kissed one girl in his life. And I know it's not my story to tell. If we end up having that friend on the podcast one day, he can tell the story, but like, he had done something very similarly to a girl in high school. But I knew he had gone to my brother-in-law for that validation. And I was freaked out at that point. I had grown up getting called a slut and a whore, walking into every church that I had ever walked into, and I was like, this is happening again. I don't know how to deal with this. I kind of like got through my work day, and as soon as I got off of work, I remember I called my oldest brother, because my second brother really wasn't practicing. I think he was still Christian at the time, but he wasn't a practicing Christian. My sister was already in the situation and really wasn't helping at that point, so I was like, I can't ask her anything anymore because she's just going to get her husband involved, and he's going to say something stupid. And then I don't think my little brother could help me. I think he would have tried, but I don't think he would have known how to. So I called my oldest brother, because he's 13 years older than me. He's very devoutly Christian still to this day. Takes his kids to church on Sundays. He sits and does Bible studies with his kids every day, and so I called him and I told him the entire situation. And I said, what do I do? I don't know what to do. And he said, you need to go to your pastor and you need to tell him everything and you need to get your pastor to defend you. And my oldest brother could really care less what goes on in my life, but I think me calling him freaking out probably triggered his protective nature, because my oldest brother is a very protective person. And he said, and if he doesn't defend you, let me know. If I have to come in, because he lives in a different state, if I have to come in town and deal with it, I will come into town and deal with it. In that instance, I don't think the White Knight realized how much danger he was in. Because if my brother had to come into town to deal with that, it would have been bad.
Very bad.
My brother definitely probably would have spent the night in jail at the very least. Or he would have gotten away with it because he knows a lot of people in the police force and the military and all of that. Anyway, it would not have been good. So because I don't even think Sarah had any idea what was going on at this point still. I think I texted Mr. Pushups, the pastor, and I said, I need to have a conversation with you. We need to go talk about this. And I think my brother had told me, he was like, you just need to tell the guy to leave you alone and then block his number, have our sister block his number, have our brother-in-law block his number. He said, everybody just block him. Tell him off, block him. This was before I had gone and seen the pastor. Because I think now that I'm thinking about the story, I think what had happened was I texted him and then he went immediately over to the pastor. Because his response was the pastor. And I will read what I said. When I say I get mean when I'm angry, I get mean. And this probably could have been said in a better way. But this was just 3 days of like harassment and stress and anxious fear, and this is what it had culminated in. And I'm not like fully proud of this, but I'm also like, that was a big step for baby Izzy putting her boundaries up. So I said, what the actual fuck is wrong with you? I told you no when you asked Friday, but clearly you weren't paying attention or just don't care about what I want. You keep pushing. It's so I gave in, which was really fucking annoying and wrong. Then Sunday, you come in and saying shit, demanding my work schedule when I don't fucking have it yet. Also, not everything is about you. Other stuff happens in my life outside of fucking you. And like I said, when we talked before, if I don't tell you something, it's because I don't want you to know. You send me a text at 10 p.m. at night, which I don't have to fucking answer you. Then, like a fucking stalker psycho, you text my sister at 9 a.m. in the morning. What is wrong with you? Then you send me the most condescending, demanding, manipulative text ever. Obviously, I'm going to ignore you when you're acting like a dick. Then you fucking text my brother-in-law about your mental health. Your happiness, your actions are not my fucking responsibility. You need help. And then I think I said, don't contact my family again. So I was mad. And that's like all in caps.
She was yelling.
I was yelling.
If this was face to face, there would have been punches thrown for sure, to say the least. Yeah, like all this happened, mind you, in like a 24, 48-hour
It was
period.
Sunday to Tuesday.
I didn't know anything until Tuesday.
Yeah, so then when I got home, I like explained everything to her and said, I need you to come with me to Mr. Pushups because I need him to know that I've never been alone with him. I've never come on to him in any capacity, and you've always been with us. I need you there as my witness to say she said no multiple times Friday night, and she's never once come on to him.
Breathe. Deep breath.
So yeah, that's what happened. And I think his response to me was like, I respect your wishes or whatever. I think is what he had said.
It was something stupid. Well, I remember in the middle of all of that, he responded to one of your messages and be like, we don't have to go out, something. I think it was after he probably went and talked to Mr.
Yeah,
Pushups.
well, because when he had texted my sister, asking, my sister was like, she doesn't want to go out with you. She didn't know how to say no.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you should just take this as she doesn't want to go out with you. And he didn't like that answer. Yeah. So then he went to my brother-in-law.
Yeah. And then he,
because my sister defended me in that moment, you know, and was like, she doesn't want to go out with you.
Yeah. And then you got all condescending. We don't have to go out, blah, 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 blah. And then you sent that long message.
Yeah. I was like, it's fucking too late now.
Yeah. You're done. And then you blocked him.
Yeah.
I hadn't blocked him at that point yet because I didn't know what was going on. So I didn't hear anything from either side until she got home.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, I think I worked in the morning, so I was off in the afternoon.
Yeah,
so
I think you were home already when I got there.
So you told me what was going on. I got pissed because I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What is going on? What is happening right now? And then we ended up the next day, we went and saw Mr. Pushups at his home. And he was like, we went and sat outside. And he was like, all right, from your perspective, what's happening? What happened?
It wasn't even that. He asked me, he said, what do you want? And I said, I want to be left alone. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, okay. Like it wasn't even like a big deal, you know. I don't, he was like, because he was like, I think what happened is he liked you didn't like him, which is fine. You don't have to like him.
Mm-hmm.
and then he, like, I remember he told you, he was like, the friendship's gonna change now. It's just kind of, it's how it is. And he was like, what do you want? And I was like, I want to be left alone. That's what I want.
And he was like, Sarah, what do you want? I was like, I didn't know this was happening until like 24 hours ago. Honestly, I just want things to go back to normal. And he's like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so he basically told us at that point that, okay, I'm going to ask for you to be on separate sides of the church. Be nice to each other if you see each other, don't ice each other out, but like be nice. If he continues to do this stuff, then I will ask him to leave the church for a time. And I was like, okay, that's fine.
That was rule one.
That was rule one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Second was like, if we have any confidants or people we need to talk, like close friends, we can talk to them about it, but don't go spreading.
Yeah. Don't go telling everybody at church.
Yeah. What was this issue that seemed to be resolved, now resolved, was. He was like, I'll contact him and let him know this is the decision. This is what the rules that we need to go by from here on out. And if he can't respect those rules, then he will be asked to leave for a time. When we left.
Well,
yeah.
There was one more thing that he said. He said, don't change your mind later and try to go back to him like I hadn't been there. And I remember being like, that's not going to happen. That's a weird thing to say. But like, that should have been my first sign of the narrative that he believed.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that statement, because I was just like, whatever. So when I felt, at least when we left Mr. Pushup's place, it's been resolved. It's fine. We will go on from here. It sucks that we pretty much had to cut off somebody because they went psycho, but that's fine. We weren't going to do that. I think at that point, we were going to church still consistently. And at first it was fine. He sat on that side, or whichever side. He sat on one side, we sat on the other. It was not a big deal. We had people that would come sit with us. Sugar Cube would come sit with us, because the quiet one was doing like sound or whatever.
No, he was over there on the other side.
Was he on the other side?
From the beginning.
Oh, well, then he was on the other side. I think they were trying to just keep the peace at that point. Whatever. Yeah. And so at first it was fine. And then things kind of went downhill. We started noticing people kind of ignoring us. People that I've known, it was at that point 10 plus years. Sugar Cube stopped sitting with us. People, the couple, started ignoring us.
Wide berth.
Other people,
the couple's older sibling couple.
Yeah, they started ghosting out before they moved. And then it was just like, what is happening? That was another thing I remembered. The couple actually started hosting a small group, which was actually really close to our place. We both decided not to go to that small group because the small group we were going to was way out in the boony, like near Rio Rancho. It was far.
Yeah.
So it was like a half an hour, 45-minute drive just to get there.
Yeah.
And get home. And when I opened the next day, that wasn't a fun drive.
Right.
We decided not to go to that group because we assumed and were pretty sure he was going to go to that group. And we didn't want to feel like we were just running him out of everything.
Yeah.
And so we made that decision not to attend that young adult group that was like for our age group.
Yeah.
Which, whatever at that point. And then we started noticing, we were getting ostracized, being ignored.
Yeah.
People stopped talking to us, stopped communicating with us, or asking us anything outside of church.
Good morning.
No good mornings, no nothing. It got to the point where we would be sitting down and we would meet somebody new.
Well, okay, pause.
Pause.
We have to remember my nephew is still going to church with us.
That's right.
So, and it was obvious to me that he was saying stuff. So I went to Mr. Pushups one Sunday morning, and because he asked me, he was like, "How do you feel?" And I was like, "Something's being said. It's really obvious that something is being said." And he was like, "There's no proof of that. I haven't heard anything." And I'm like, "Well, they're not going to say it to you, obviously." But I was like, "But look at how we're being treated." And he just kind of flat out denied it. And so we had a brief conversation about it, I think, after we dropped my nephew off that Sunday. And then later in that week, I went over to my brother's and I sat down with my brother and my sister-in-law, and I said, "I don't think that it's smart for my nephew to keep coming to church with me." I told them what happened, and I said, I'm not being believed. His side of the story is being taken, which I'm pretty sure he's telling everybody that I came on to him. And I'm getting framed. I'm getting framed as a slut at church, and I don't want my nephew. I don't want people pointing at him and going, "Oh, look, that's the kid whose slutty aunt brings him to church." I didn't want him hearing that. And like, me and my siblings have so much trauma. I'm getting emotional. This is crazy. Me and my siblings have so much trauma from church growing up. Because of stupid adult drama that trickled down and affected us. I didn't want that to affect my nephew. I wanted him to be able to be an adult and make a decision for what he believes without all of this garbage that was coming from me. So I talked to my brother about it, and my brother was pretty supportive. He's like, "Christian dudes are really weird." He was like, "They're always creepy." You know, and they were like, I think they agreed with me that it was best that we didn't keep taking him. And he was like, "He'll be fine. I think he really just wants to go to do something on Sunday mornings." But yeah, so we ended up not taking my nephew anymore, which Mr. Pushups got mad about. Mm-hmm. But that was kind of the final conversation that we had.
Yeah, I remember you told me about that conversation. You told him, "I'm protecting my nephew here, and I don't want him around."
Yeah, and he told me that was unbiblical and that I need to be raising up children in the way that they should go, the verse. And I was like, "He's not my child, though. He's my brother's child. He's not my child. I do not get to dictate my beliefs to my brother's child."
Yeah. Yeah, he tried to pull the Deuteronomy verse on her, which I'm like, shit. Yeah. So,
but we had gone and gotten dinner with Mr. Pushups and his wife before that. So yeah. Why don't you tell them about that?
So at one point we went and got dinner with them. I think this was like one of our first conversations with him.
I think it was after.
Was it after?
Yeah, because he checked in then too.
Yeah. We sat down and I had started dating a guy, and we were talking and all this stuff, and I started dating a guy, and it kind of just popped out that this guy wasn't fully separated from his now ex-wife. But Mr. Pushups like jumped down my throat for that, for starting a relationship with somebody who was still legally married to somebody, even though they had been separated for years at that point. Yeah. And I'm like, I already had conversations with this man, and he was like, "I promise to work on making sure that gets finalized." Took him a while, but he did it. But like, yeah, I feel like I was very much judged for that. decision
Mm-hmm.
of getting into that relationship. And I didn't really get to say much after the fact that he was still legally married came
Yeah.
out. It was just
Yeah.
like he just kind of jumped on me, and I was like, ugh,
Yeah.
I didn't want that. And so it like it put a bad taste in my mouth. And then all this stuff was happening at church too, where we were just being ostracized to the point of, like I was saying before, we would meet somebody newer to the group.
Yeah. Somebody would come to church for the first time. We would introduce ourselves, get to know them, exchange phone numbers. And
And
then the next week we didn't exist.
yeah, they were sitting with the white knight in their little cliquey group. Um, and it was like, oh, okay. And it got very lonely. It got very sparse. And I think it got to the point where we were tired of all of it. And so we started rolling dice
Yeah.
to decide if we were going to go to church that morning or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was like, what, a D6 or something? Or it was a D20?
It was a D20. If it was below 10, we wouldn't go. If it was above 10, we'd go.
Yeah. So there was times we would go and other times we wouldn't. And it got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And then October of that year,
We really started playing with like tarot
oh yeah,
cards and stuff like that. Like that Halloween, we had like our first, we celebrated Samhain.
mm-hmm.
We didn't celebrate Halloween, we celebrated Samhain. And I think we did a spell for the first time that night. Like we were, we were over it to the point where we were fully exploring something else at that point.
I was like, you were looking into your ancestry.
Yeah. I had bought us crystals.
Yep, crystals. For our first crystals were like in our possession.
Mine, hers, we have them here.
Yeah.
Our first ones.
I was like, well, this is one of my first ones. It was just like a bunch of ones that just curiosity about other things that we've been told all of our lives that have been evil.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, let's actually look into these things.
Yeah. Which, I mean, we had friends who were doing it, so that they kind of introduced us into it in a really fun way. It was kind of something that was fun and different at first, and then eventually me and Sarah just took it and ran with it. But yeah, we were definitely starting to explore other things at that point.
Yeah. And then October of that year, I unfortunately had a robbery at work that really shook me because I was held at gunpoint. And I had two underage baristas with me. They were both under the age of 18 at that point. And it shook me pretty hard. I remember
she was like in shock. She didn't know what was happening to her.
Yeah, I had a full-blown panic attack as soon as the man left. I had a full-blown panic, like hyperventilation and everything. And then after like my manager and district manager got there and the police got there and we were interviewed and we were going home, my district manager almost followed me home to make sure I got home okay. But I walked in and you were there with like a cup of tea because I was like, I'm getting emotional now.
Yeah.
But it was super scary, and I was like, it triggered so much fear in me. And I didn't know where to put that fear. And like it was, my anxiety blew up after that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had the worst anxiety after that. But I remember we canceled D&D that week because I was in not a good headspace to play, and I was just like, I can't do it. And then our big brother came.
Yeah.
He was I feel like he would have hurt somebody. But
Yeah.
like our friend group that we had at that point, our D&D group, really came around us and came around me and just helped me get through like that initial week, and that initial time. Um, and like
and they were the gays and the witches and the polyamorous people,
yeah,
except for our big brother,
yeah,
who's the one Christian.
he's my big little brother. I'm
Yeah.
spoiled with him, but um, it was bad, and like my manager at the time called in a therapist, a trauma therapist, so I can go talk to them. And I went and talked to them, and my father came along for that conversation. And concessions were made for me when I'm closing and when I'm opening, so I didn't have to open the doors until the lights were like the sun was up.
Yeah.
But like during that therapy, little it's like a little 20-minute talk. She was like, do you have people to go talk to? And I was like, yeah, I have my church. I can go talk to them um, when I go back next. Usually that's my community. And after that little conversation and going back to the apartment, I realized I didn't feel comfortable talking to anybody at church about that situation because in my mind, it was just entertainment for them.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember when we finally rolled to go to church again after we went to church, we were sitting there. I think it was after the sermon, and you were there, I was there, Sugar Cube was there, and one of our other friends she was in school and like she was in and out of Sunday a lot because she was like I think it was nursing school, and she was coming up on the end, and so she didn't get to come to church a lot, but she came and sat down with us and was like, how are things? And
And
that
Sarah goes, good. I'm so good. And I was like, oh crap. Because Sarah's pretty open. Everything's kind of on the sleeves. And for her to sit there and not say something, I was like, ooh,
something's wrong.
that's not normal.
And I remember like it was in my head, there was a split decision. I was like, do I say anything or do I not? And it was like, nope, we're not exposing that wound. And I was like, oh, I'm fine, I'm good, yeah, we're doing fine. And I'm pretty sure Sugar Cubes thought something was up but didn't really push. um but I really didn't care at that point.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And I remember, yeah, we left that day and you looked at me like you looked at me. There was a point where the second I said, oh, I'm fine, you looked at me and went,
Yeah.
and it was just a silent, okay, this is her decision. She's not saying anything. And we got back to the apartment and I told you, I was like, I just don't feel comfortable. I feel like anything I say will be used as entertainment for someone else instead of actually trying to get me help.
Yeah. Yeah. So at that point, I had one last meeting with Mr. Pushups. We went to a coffee shop and we sat there and we talked for like an hour, and I made him really mad about a few things. But his main thing was like nothing was being said, and I said it's so obvious that something is being said. I was like we will make a friend and then they'll not want to talk to us. And he was like, well, guy and girl friendships are kind of weird. And I was like, it's not just guys, it's girls too, it's everybody. And I think at that point I felt a lot of shame for Sarah being dragged into it because again, like I hadn't been friends with these people as long. I hadn't grown up in that church. I had kind of always been treated this way in church, so it wasn't really, I don't feel like it was affecting me the same way that it was affecting her. Like I think for her to go through that and then have everybody she thought were her friends turn their back on her, I felt a lot of guilt. Not that if Sarah ever made me feel that way, but
No, because I was pissed. I was pissed that they were treating her this way. And I was like, if you're not going to come get the other side of the story and shun her, then F you all.
yeah.
Like, I was pissed.
Yeah. It made me sick how they had treated her.
We were mad for each other in this situation.
Yeah. Which is the story of our friendship.
It's true.
So yeah, we were there for maybe a month more, and Mr. Pushups did a sermon. And it felt very pointed. It felt very pointed at me, as like he was saying what happened didn't happen. And he made a lot of crazy accusations from the pulpit. He made a lot of crazy statements that didn't have any basis or foundings. That's why I always made him so mad, because I would go look up stuff and be like, where did you get this? You pulled that out of your ass. And he made this really stupid statement, which if you want to hear about it, we did a whole episode on just that on our Patreon. But it was pretty much about how women and men too, but mainly women are treated inside physical relationships with men in the church.
Specifically marriage.
But I think that was his because he had that last conversation we had. He was like, well, actually, the White Knight's really a good guy. Like, maybe you should give him a chance. And I was like, what the actual fuck? And so it just made it clear like what he thought of me and what he thought of this situation and how he was responding to situations like this. And yeah.
And it got like, let me put some perspective on this. Like one of our last days there, there was a baptism. And so we went and walked outside to where they were having the baptism. And the White Knight walked out of there surrounded by all the guys that I called friends. Like, he was in the middle and they surrounded him and escorted him outside.
Yeah.
To like stay away from her and I.
Yeah. Like I was gonna stab him or something.
Like we were gonna get him. And I think that was from the message from the pulpit, and that situation broke everything in me.
Yeah. So that day after that, we got in the car and we looked at each other and I said, I'm done. And she said, yep, me too. And
we never looked back.
Never been back.
We literally drove home. I put down my Bible. I have no idea where it went. At that point, I was just like, I am so disappointed in the people that call themselves Christians and called themselves my friends and family.
Yeah. It just made it very clear to me, like, who I believed Jesus was and Jesus calls us to be is nowhere represented in that building and in any of the buildings I've been in my life. So why would I keep going? Because all it does is cause me pain. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people are like, well, it's people, it's not God who hurts you. Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. And I don't understand how people can't understand is like, yes, I still believe in God, but it's not these people's versions of God. It's who I believe inside, who teaches love your neighbor as yourself and is about love and focusing on your own relationship with God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, because I don't care what you want to call it anymore. It's between you and whatever higher power you choose to call on. It just is so different from the version that these people present as being the one true version.
Mm-hmm. And it was a wow. It was a sum of everything that we were going through from Mega Church number 2 and then piling on everything that was going on that year. It came to a point where it was just like, cool, I am no longer being seen as a person who has a relationship with who I believe was a creator. It is now, what am I doing to make myself look holier than thou?
Mm-hmm.
Or what am I doing to make them look better than me because of my decisions or, what I was doing in that point in time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That was the last straw.
that was it.
Yeah.
So
I think we will probably go into later episodes, go into like what happened afterwards, but that was the final exit from the Evangelical church for both Izzy and I.
Yeah. So, and it was, I don't know, after that, like the 6 months after that, that's the closest I've ever felt to God.
Yeah,
for
was
me
very freeing
personally. So,
all right. Thank you for tuning into Just Another Statistic. Each episode, we aim to explore the profound shifts that occur when we bravely step away from inherited beliefs and embrace new spiritual awakenings. This path from Christianity to witchcraft and spirituality is one of constant evolution, marked by unique turning points and deeply felt emotions. We believe that every deconstructed, every spiritual discovery is a powerful story waiting to be told. If you've been in a similar path or are just beginning to ask the difficult questions, we invite you to share your personal journey with us. Whether it's a specific moment of realization, a challenge you overcame, a newfound sense of peace, your story adds vital depth to this conversation. Send us an email at jastatistics@gmail.com or connect with us on social media at Just Another Statistic Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. We're curious about what you're struggling with, what you care about, and how our podcast has inspired you.
your voice matters, and by sharing it, you help build a vibrant community for those who might feel like outliers or just another statistic. Don't forget to follow our podcast and stay with us on this journey. And if this episode brought you value, please share it with someone who needs to hear it.
Bye, guys.
Bye.